All right. Hey.
Hey.
We're here.
We're here.
Again.
Yep. Keeps happening.
It does. It does. Same place. Man. Mm-hmm. So, what are we going to talk about today?
I'm excited.
Oh, yes? Why?
Yes. Wine trips before you die.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. I know the best place to go.
Where?
Philadelphia. To come to a wine class. Sorry.
Oh, that was the saddest thing I've heard.
Yeah, that is just blatant self-promotion.
Yeah. The people aren't interested in that.
No, I know, hence the joke. No, yeah. Oh God, so where's your go-to place?
It's tough.
Yeah.
I know. I've been kind of bouncing around. What am I going to lead with? I guess, honestly, I want to go back to where we think it all started.
Oh, where did it all start?
We think Georgia.
The
Caucasus Mountains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, and you can go see Mount Ararat.
Mm-hmm.
And wow. Yeah. You go meet Moses too while you're there. But there is actually legitimately, they did in Mount Ararat find they think is one of the first commercial winemaking facilities.
Yeah.
And
6,000 years old or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a winemaker from Napa Valley who's actually making wine there now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting to know a little bit about their food.
Oh, yeah.
And Georgian food looks amazing. So between the food and the wine.
Yeah, and I don't think there's much of a tourist industry
No,
there.
and that's the best thing, right?
Yeah.
Not having a bunch of tourists is the most critical thing, I think, for a great wine trip.
I know. I love that, too. I really love that. I know when I'm traveling, even in France, as soon as, if I don't hear anybody speaking English.
Yeah, then it's good. Then it got good. It just got good.
Because it's really lovely when there isn't this preset idea of who you are.
Yes.
One of my favorite trips, it wasn't really a wine trip. It wasn't into a wine growing area, but it was into but it's actually where the local wines, everyone came to drink them. And that was San Sebastian in northern Spain.
I wanted to keep that a secret.
I know. Oh.
It's not really a secret,
no.
but
I know, but it is such a great place.
Oh.
Because you can, any single great wine from all of Spain can be drunk in that town with that food. Some of the best. Oh. It's like the heart of the culinary world of Spain. It is where you can go for tapas for just few dollars and have one of the best meals.
Oh, it's every style of food, to the most shishi fine dining, modernist cuisine, to just the best little bar tapas restaurants.
Oh, yeah. And I really learned that I really love the tapas more than the Michelin style restaurants. Because I just remember being hanging out at this was it was considered one of the top 5 restaurants in the world at the time. Mm-hmm. And my appetizer was like a dinosaur egg.
Yes. Yeah.
I couldn't figure out how to eat it.
Yeah.
And then I realized it was just a potato. And it was just so sad. I mean, it's just a potato covered in ash.
Yeah, I mean, that was an interesting meal.
Yes.
But San Sebastian it had it. It had it all. It was glorious.
Yeah.
Yeah. My face was shiny the whole time from the pork fat.
Oh yeah. Well, at that time you really weren't eating that much meat.
Not much.
And then you were introduced to jamon, real jamon, Iberico, and that that was hilarious.
I was eating for 2 or 3 at times. All right, so if you're a wine lover, you really got to get to San Sebastian.
San Sebastian, and I would as an itinerary into wine country. Mm-hmm. So that's actually in the Basque region, and there's Chocolat and there's some Cidra. Apples, that's not wine, but I would go from there and I would go south through the mountains into Rioja, especially into the Basque region of Rioja. Yeah. That is such beautiful country and such great wines and the small little towns, amazing food, and the combination of Spanish wine, food, and their love of architecture.
Mm-hmm.
Like some of those Calatrava designed wineries, some of them are so over the top that's ridiculous, but there's some just beautiful. There's a town, you know this town.
LaGuardia?
LaGuardia, yes. Is all I'm thinking, to remember the name, I always think the worst airport in the world. Yeah. And then I'm like, no, that's not the one.
Yeah. LaGuardia.
Yes, LaGuardia. Oh my God, what a beautiful town. Within the wineries underneath the town, and then all surrounding that area, some of the best wineries in all of Rioja and all of the world are there. That's a great trip.
Okay, so you're naming places you've already been. I thought the idea was...
Yeah.
I guess it could be, but I'm thinking of places that I haven't been.
Oh, that's true. I was just thinking for folks that if they really are thinking, like, I know that that's an amazing trip. I know that's a trip that anyone can do and have an amazing time.
That's true.
And have a very low-key, enjoyable time.
Yes.
And like, with the most amazing wines. So
I think that, but the advice to get off the beaten track, and that's really so very important. And there are places in California you can do that, but you really want to avoid when you see the Sprinter vans in the parking lot. That's just time to move on. Yeah,
and coming from the other side of it as a winemaker, anytime I saw a bus, I could just feel my heart sink. Yeah, because it's just no fun for anybody. Right. And, and sometimes you feel like you're enabling alcoholics. Yes. That just want to be fancy. And that's just sad. Like, that's no good for anyone. It's not a good trip. But I say about places like Paso Robles, which is, the whole area is just devoted to winemaking. Yeah. That's a great trip.
Oh, my goodness.
Undiscovered.
Yes.
The west side, traveling there is amazing. There's great food.
Yes.
And if you want to see seals or have oysters, you go to the coast.
Abalone.
Oh, abalone, that's right.
Yes.
Oh, like such an amazing basket of plenty type area. Yeah. Really remarkable. The people are great because it's actually so far, it's like between LA and San Francisco, and there's no easy way to get there. Mm-hmm. So you don't have any of that influence of the big cities. Because literally, I mean, how many hours would it take? Like 5 hours to get to Paso? Even if you drove or took a plane. We took a propeller plane, which was death-defying.
There are ways to do it. It's not completely hard to get to.
But it's actually one of the important things. Is hard because if it's hard to get to, then not a lot of people go.
Right.
And it's really worthwhile. That's actually a great trip if you're staying in the United States.
Totally.
But all right. So, what are there places that you haven't gone yet that you really want to?
I've never been to Australia.
Oh yeah, well.
I'm a big fan of Australian wines. Yeah. I would love to go to Yarra Yarra, right outside of Melbourne, where they do Pinot and they love sparkling wine. So that's a dream.
Oh yeah, I just want to go all through Victoria because like their stickies, their dessert wines, but also all their like very classic bush vine Syrahs, and they're more likely to call their wines Syrah than Shiraz because they just like know our wines. And yeah, we have that big difference. I love those big stinky old bushy Syrahs. That just smell like death and heaven all in one. Wow, those are amazing. Yeah, and I would love, but yeah, as we know that the only thing, my only fear of going to Australia, it isn't how long would it take? Like 12-hour trip, 24?
Oh yeah, I think it's closer to 20.
Oh God, that's not the thing. It's that I know enough, and you know enough Australian winemakers that we know how they drink.
Oh,
like I cannot drink anyone in America. I cannot outdrink a single Australian 12-year-old child. Like because I know that like they always pour like their pours are like to the top.
Yeah, they're cowboys. They're wild.
So my fear would just be like that I would lose so many IQ points I wouldn't remember my name.
Good point. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I would love to go there, and I would also love to go to like if we're in that area, I mean, I would love to go to New Zealand.
Well, that's the thing, though, Keith. You really can't. You're not in that area.
Yeah.
It's like 1,200 miles apart.
Wow. Oh, I always
forget. So you're not in that area. So this is the biggest thing for folks. I have heard back. It's one or the other. So how do you decide?
Yeah.
Really, New Zealand. You can do the North Island, right outside of Auckland. There's a beautiful area called Waiheke, I think.
Waiheke Island, yes. Waiheke, yes.
That is incredible. And then, of course, you have Marlborough in the South Island. And that is, I mean, New Zealand is so beautiful. I think Australia is a little more developed.
Yes.
But yeah, you have to pick. You cannot do both.
I know, I'd have a hard time.
Same with Argentina and Chile. People think, oh, I'm going to do a South American wine trip. No, that's a massive continent.
Yeah, that's true.
It's really not a great idea.
And that's actually another thing to remember is that sometimes traveling, do you want to travel more or see more?
Yes.
And one of the things I like to do, like, and this is when I travel, is I actually like to pick a central location, find an awesome chateau or house and stay there and do forked adventures from there daily, and you always come back to the same place. I love that.
I think you're really right about that. I think a lot of students ask us, well, I'm going to go to France.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go to the Loire Valley, to Champagne, to Burgundy, and then I'll spend a little time in Provence and back to France. It's just like, whoa, no. Like that, you really focus.
Yeah.
Just pick your spot and then do like a 2-hour radius around it, and you'll get more, I think, authentic quality experiences.
Yeah, and you'll actually get, and if you pick that right. So when I did a trip to Bordeaux with students, I picked a chateau in the Entre de Mer, which is like it was between. Literally between the seas, but it's also between Pomerol and Sauvignon and Bordeaux, the city, and the Medoc.
Right.
That was amazing. And so we would take daily trips, but even being there in a less famous area, really got to know the locals because it's very rural. Everyone knew each other. Winemakers would come to the chateau with their wines and just chat and pour wines, and local farmers would actually come by, like, because we're the only people around that were that they didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was just really friendly and lovely, and that's a great experience.
Yes.
I like doing that.
That's so smart. And also, people like to pack in a lot of wineries per day.
Yeah.
And for me, I can do about 4 max.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to a place with a lot of wineries, don't plan 6, 7, 8 wineries. It's just, you're not going to really enjoy it.
No.
Or remember it.
Well, you're also just like, because that's still tourist. So one of my greatest hacks.
Yes.
And we did this when we went to Northern Rome. You find the cafe that all the winemakers go to eat lunch. And you have your lunch there too. So a couple of things will happen. One, like, you're going to show up and you're going to see everybody in the area. And this is anywhere. Now, in France, it's usually a cafe in the afternoon. But if you're like in Paso Robles, you go to a sports bar in the evening, because that's when all the winemakers show up.
Or any bar. There aren't that many.
Yeah, exactly. Showing up in the evening after 5 o'clock, you'll actually run into a lot of winemakers. And the reason that's amazing, because one, you'll get introductions. Yeah. You'll get more likely to actually strike a conversation and a friendship. There'll be a long-lasting friendship. Yeah. But if you're having at a cafe, like, you're eating their food that they love. Yeah. You're drinking the wines that they love because they're eating there because that place serves wines that the locals love, the winemakers love. And that's really important. Yeah. You get a whole different insight into the place. Yes. So a couple wineries in the morning, have a really good lunch. I'll plan a long lunch. And then maybe making dinner or a nice meal in the area or where you're staying at night. You're going to get a much better idea of the region, the food, the wine by doing that as well, rather than just going to a winery tour. Well, and that's the thing about wine regions. It's in agriculture. Yeah. So the farmers markets are really amazing. Yes. The fresh produce, and don't miss out on shopping like a local. Yeah. And doing some meals at home, because that's going to be really magical. And that's what I always do. I said going to a restaurant because I didn't want people to feel like, Yeah. But that's my first go-to is I go to the farmer's market, and I'm preparing local food, picking up wines, from the local shop, even if it's the grocery store, because I'm just really curious about what they're drinking,
Yes.
what they're eating. And that's really fun. And because it's oftentimes very different than what they're selling. And that was one of the things working in Tuscany really showed me, is that we all drank very different wines than the ones we sold. And they're made differently, different oak regimens, different values, and they're just as good. They're just different. They're not designed for the American palate.
Yeah.
They're designed for the Italian palate or for the French palate, and it's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not nearly as precious.
Yeah.
But super tasty and super fun. Which I think everyone finds when they go to a restaurant, whether they're traveling through France or through Italy or Spain, or it was just like the local wine. They didn't even know what it was.
Yes,
and
of course.
That's what they drink.
Yeah.
It's not pretentious. It's also just made differently. It's just made less expensively.
Yeah.
But with just the same amount of love and care.
I love it.
Yeah, I do. I love traveling like that.
I think those were some really good tips.
I think so. Are there any places that you want to go?
Oh, I have such a long list. I mean,
Yeah.
I do. I haven't been to Portugal.
Oh,
I'm talking about
yes.
Portugal recently. I want to see more of Italy. I want to see the places that are off the beaten path. I would love to go
Yes.
to Marche. I would love to go to Emilia-Romagna.
Yes.
And then back in France, I've never been to Roussillon, which I would love to do.
Yes.
In Spain, I've never been to the Sherry Triangle, as they call it.
Yes.
So all kinds of, there's
Yeah.
a lot that I would love to do.
Yeah.
And then people absolutely love South Africa. That's probably from our students the place that I hear the most
They really,
about
yeah.
as just a magical, beautiful experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of the things, just try to stay away from what everyone else is going
That's exactly
to.
it.
Find a local, a central location where you can call home for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And just travel from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Oh,
that.
it's the best.
All right. Well, I think that's a lot of good information.
That was really good.
So if they like this, what should they do?
They should like and subscribe.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yes.
And honestly, if you have any favorite trips or any places,
tell us.
let us know in the comments if there's anything at all, because always looking for new exciting places to go.
Please.
I really want to go to the Canary Islands. I really do.
Ooh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Thanks,
right.
folks.
Bye.
Ciao.